Hi, this is Chris with Nightfall Audio Books, and we will be walking through my recording process today. I record 4 days a week. On those days, I get up around 4 o'clock in the morning, make coffee, and I head down to my studio. I veg out for a little while and wake up, let the coffee do its thing, and then I begin drinking a seltzer water. Seltzer waters dry out my mouth a little bit, so I don't have as many pops and clicks when I narrate, and when I'm ready, I move my desktop mic into position and I begin recording. I do a chapter in one continuous take. I do all of the voices on the fly. I never record one character's voice and then edit it back into the chapter. That takes way too long. I did that for one chapter, and it takes ages. I try to record 2 or 3 chapters per session. This helps me get through a book pretty quickly. If a book has very long chapters, around 20 minutes or so, I record 1 chapter a session. I have been trying to push that to 2 chapters a session, so it doesn't take me like 18 days to read an 18-chapter book, but I do what I can. I have an Excel spreadsheet called Time List, and I use one of these for every book that I record. I note the length of each chapter before and after I edit, so I have an idea of how much material was deleted from the end result. It's fun to see what I cut, is all that this really is. It's not worthwhile to supply a director's cut of each book because it's an unfinished product. So I tally up how long it took me to record this entire novel and how long the novel will be when it's finished, so I know how many episodes I can split it into. And then I break it into parts. This is how it's worked out, part 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. This is another sheet that I used, and it's called Production Schedule. I note the start and end record dates and edit dates for when I work on a book. It gives me an idea for how long it takes me to produce a book. It also shows the air dates. I really like this kind of stuff. So you can see, like this is 99 Fear Street Book 1. I started recording it in December of 21. I recorded it until almost the end of the year in 21, and then that aired in January 3rd of 2022. And then you can see I kind of crunched myself. I only had a couple of weeks to get another book out the door before there was nothing else to air. So then I started working on 99 Fear Street Book 2, and then 99 Fear Street Book 3. And then I was so burned out on doing 99 Fear Street that I had to do something fun. So then I did The Cheater, and then I started up my schedule of recording something I didn't know, which was The Sleepwalker. I am recording the original 51 Fear Street books, the 11 Super Chillers, the 5 Cheerleaders novels, 9 books in the 3 main trilogies, which is 99 Fear Street, the Cataluna Chronicles, and the Fear Street Sagas, and 19 R.L. Stine point horror novels. That's 95 books. I need a way to break it all up, so I record a Fear Street book, then a Super Chiller, then back to Fear Street, then a point horror novel, then Fear Street again, and I go like this until I make a big enough dent in the series until I feel comfortable taking a break and recording a different author. Different authors take much longer to record because the font on the page tends to be smaller and the descriptions are far more vivid. Stine is great, but he's rather simplistic because his material is meant for the young adult crowd. When I read other authors, they tend to be more adult in nature, so the process takes longer. Other authors are fun because it gives me a break from Shadyside and Fear Street, and it lets the channel explore other styles of writing and genres. I try not to make a book longer than 8 episodes. 8 weeks is a lot of time to ask someone to stay tuned for a single story. I do all of my editing and recording at home in my studio in the basement. I use Audacity to record and edit and Windows Movie Maker to create the videos. I know Movie Maker is old, but I have the process worked out pretty well, and creating a video only takes a few minutes. Once the book is finished, I copy it to my NAS, which is a network-attached storage drive, and then back that up to an external hard drive. In the event of a failure or hard drive crash, I do not want to spend the time re-editing and creating files again. I have an Excel spreadsheet that lists the dates for the entire year. I then record my staples, like the Halloween, Christmas, and January books. Then I begin to fill in the rest with Stine and other authors. I used to schedule an entire year in advance, but I figured it would be more fun to let the channel decide which book airs next, so I'm putting up polls every few weeks and allowing you to vote. It's fun to see what you decide to air, and I have it all broken out by different years. So you can see this is 2023, and this is the end of the year, and I'm not going to show you what's left for 2024 because you get to help decide that. I have yet another document that lists all the books that I have to record. It's color-coded so I know where to find the book. Red means I own the physical copy, green means it's digital, blue means I have both physical and digital, and gold means I've recorded it. As I finish them, I change the color code. I can locate requested books easily, and it gives me a way to visualize how many more I have to do in what series. And this is all the Fear Street books that I've recorded so far. As for my recording equipment, I use an XLR style Shure microphone, and it's mounted on a desktop stand. And I use a Focusrite Scarlett 2i4 audio interface. I can attach up to 2 mics to that. It works pretty well, and I think I sound very good using this setup. My computer is custom built by me. I have been messing with computers since I was 12. My first computer was a Commodore 64. I learned how to print banners, file systems, how to copy files, storage management, and played a few games on it. My current computer is the one that's shown. I chose white because I hadn't had a white computer yet, and it looks really cool. The fans are white RGB and are PWM controlled by the motherboard. I bought the motherboard and RAM from Micro Center on the clearance rack. The motherboard is an ASRock B550M Steel Legend. I have 32 gig of G-Skill Trident Z Neo RAM, an AMD Ryzen 5600X CPU, and an AMD Radeon 6600 XT. I play games on this. This is my primary machine. The hard drives are crazy in this thing too. I'm going to geek out for a couple seconds. My main drive is a 512 gig PCIe 4.0x4 NVMe drive, a 512 gig PCIe 3.0x4 NVMe secondary drive, a PCIe X4 adapter card that has a 256 gig SATA NGFF SSD, and another PCI 3.0 X4 1TB NVMe drive. Then I bought a card to adapt the unused Wi-Fi M.2 slot to accommodate another 512 gig PCIe 3.0x2 NVMe SSD. I like storage, and this thing is fun. I have requests to bring another voice actor onto the channel. I am not a trained voice actor. I'm just a guy doing this in his basement very early in the morning. I don't know of anyone who is awake at 4 a.m. and ready to record with me. I have one person I wouldn't mind asking, but then I would have to splice their audio into the chapter after it is recorded, and that will add a ton of time to my editing process. I appreciate the idea, but until I can get someone into the studio with me, it's just not feasible right now. Overall, my vocal range has improved as I've recorded books. When I began, I could do up to 3 male voices and maybe 2 female voices. Now I can do 7 male voices and 3 female voices without losing track of how to do them. I hope this was a fun diversion and a behind-the-scenes look on how I manage the material that is created for this channel. Do you have any suggestions for what books I should read next? I really like to target books that don't already have an audiobook. If the books you have in mind are already available on Audible or something else, I am not going to be covering them. So thank you very much for listening and tuning in. Keep an eye on my channel for the polls that will be airing this year, so you can help decide what books will be airing next. Thank you very much for listening, and I will see you next time.